I never used to be afraid of mirrors. They were just mirrors. Tools for vanity, routine, self-assurance. But now, when I see one, any reflective surface, even a dark window, I feel my stomach twist, like something behind the glass is waiting. It began 2 months ago, on a night so unremarkable I shouldn't remember it at all. I was brushing my teeth, humming something tuneless, half asleep. The bathroom light flickered, just once, but in that instant, I saw something strange. My reflection didn't move with me. It was subtle. When I leaned forward to spit, it stayed still a second too long. Just 1 second. Just enough. I blinked, laughed at myself, and blamed exhaustion. You'd laugh too, wouldn't you? A trick of the light, a sleepy brain. But then it smiled.
Not me.
A slow, deliberate curl of the lips that I swear I didn't make. My toothbrush dropped into the sink. I touched my mouth, my cheek, my chin. The reflection copied me again, perfectly this time, as though ashamed of being caught. I almost convinced myself it hadn't happened until the next morning, when I noticed something impossible. On the mirror's surface, faintly traced by an unseen finger, were words written backward. I missed you. I wiped the mirror clean 3 times, but the words, I missed you, kept bleeding back through the fog of my breath, like the glass itself refused to forget. That morning, I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't even look up. I washed my face staring at the sink. But when I finally glanced up, just a reflex, the way you have to check if something's there, it was standing closer. Not my reflection. Not anymore. The thing in the mirror looked like me, yes, but its eyes were too dark, too knowing. There was a faint tremor in its smile, as if it struggled to contain excitement. My heart hammered so loud I could barely hear the dripping tap. Then, faintly, so faintly I thought I imagined it, I heard a whisper. It came from the glass. My name. Drawn out, breathy, affectionate. AAA Aaron. That was when the bathroom light went out.
Click.
Total black. I fumbled for the switch, hands slick with fear. When the light blinked back on, the reflection was gone. The mirror was just a mirror again. But as I stumbled out of the bathroom, shaking, I noticed something on the hallway wall. A perfect wet handprint, smudged and glistening, pressed on my side of the glass that I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every mirror in the apartment, bathroom, wardrobe, even the microwave door, suddenly felt like open mouths, waiting to whisper again. By dawn, I'd cover them all with bedsheets. My place looked like a haunted museum, draped and silent. I thought that would stop it. I thought maybe if I couldn't see it, it couldn't see me. I was wrong. Around 3 a.m., because of course it's always 3 a.m., I woke up freezing. My breath was visible, curling in the dark air. Then I felt it, a soft pressure on my wrist, like someone was tracing a fingertip along my veins. I yanked my arm back, heart hammering. The room was empty. But when I looked down, there was condensation on my skin. Tiny droplets, like I'd pressed my hand against glass. And there, on my wrist, 5 perfect ovals. Fingerprints. That's when I heard it again. The faint tap, tap, tap from the covered mirror across the room.
Steady.
Patient. Like it knew I was listening. I couldn't move.
Couldn't breathe.
The tapping stopped, and then, from beneath the sheet, came a long dragging sound, like a fingernail sliding slowly down the glass. It spelled something. I could hear the rhythm of each letter.
T, A, K, E.
Then silence. When I finally gathered the courage to pull the sheet down, the mirror was fogged from the inside. And scrawled across it, backwards again, were 2 words that froze my blood. Take my place. The message stayed there for hours. No matter how many times I wiped the mirror, the letters reappeared, as if carved beneath the glass, not on it. Take my place. At first, I thought it was some twisted hallucination, that maybe I was losing my mind from lack of sleep. But the longer I stared, the more wrong everything felt. The air near the mirror was colder, the reflection thicker. Like the glass wasn't just reflecting light anymore, it was holding something. And then I saw movement. Not in the mirror. In my eyes. When I leaned closer, My reflection's pupils didn't align with mine. They lagged behind, like someone wearing my face but trying to remember how it worked. "Who are you?" I whispered. It smiled, wide, cracking, teeth just a little too sharp. And as its lips parted, I realized it wasn't mirroring my voice at all. It was speaking on its own. "I'm the one you forgot," it murmured. "The one you left behind." The glass trembled. I stumbled backward as my reflection lifted its hand, not mimicking mine, but moving first. And then the lights went out again. But this time it didn't wait. I heard the sharp crack of glass splintering, and something cold brushed my cheek from the darkness. The sound of breaking glass wasn't loud, just a soft, shivering crick, but it felt like it split the room in half. I froze. My mind screamed to run, but my legs were stone. I could hear the shards tinkling, sliding down the wall. Then drip. Water. From the mirror. No, not water. It was thicker, darker, like ink mixed with shadow. It slithered down the wallpaper and pooled at my feet, rippling with faint silver light, as though it was reflecting something from inside the mirror world. Then came the breathing. Shallow, quick, not mine. I turned toward the mirror and saw a hand pressing through the cracked glass.
Pale. Wet.
Fingertips shaking like they'd been clawing their way out for years. Each tap against the frame sent a high, awful tone into the air. I stumbled backward. My heel hit the corner of the dresser. And then silence. The hand froze mid-motion. Slowly, it retreated back through the crack, and the mirror sealed itself with a faint sigh, like a door closing after a long conversation. I didn't dare go closer. But before I could even exhale, I saw it, on the other side of the room, in a shard of broken glass lying on the floor. My reflection. Standing upright. Smiling. Breathing. And I swear I wasn't, it was standing inside the shard. Just standing there, upright, as though gravity didn't matter in its world. My reflections had tilted a fraction, like a curious animal studying its prey. Then it blinked, slow, deliberate, and that tiny motion shattered something in me. I kicked the shard away. It clinked across the floor and slid beneath the bed. For a moment, I thought it was over. I told myself, it's just light, just fear, you're tired. But then the shadows on the wall began to move.
Not sway, move.
They stretched toward the bed, toward where the shard had gone. I could hear faint scratching underneath, a rhythmic scraping like nails on the wooden frame. I dropped to my knees, lifted the blanket, and the scratching stopped. Nothing there. Then, as I stared into the darkness beneath, I saw a faint glint. The shard. But it wasn't reflecting my face anymore. It was showing my room, my bed, my shaking hands. And behind me, someone standing in the doorway. I turned, no one. Heart slamming, I looked back at the shard. The figure was gone, but in its place, scrawled across the mirrored surface, were words that seemed to pulse with their own light. "You moved first." A soft laugh echoed through the room. My laugh, but it came from nowhere. And everywhere, it started faint, just a single chuckle echoing through the dark apartment. Then it grew, warping, splitting into layers of laughter. My laughter. Dozens of versions of it. One sounded like me when I was 12. Another like me drunk and giddy at 20. Another one, low and tired, my voice from yesterday. They overlapped, tumbling into each other, a horrible choir of me. I covered my ears, but the sound came from inside my skull. I stumbled to the light switch. The bulb flickered to life. Too bright, too white, and everything in the room went still.
The bed.
The curtains. The mirror shards. All calm again. Except my shadow. It was still shaking. At first I thought it was a trick of the light, but no, my body wasn't moving. Yet my shadow's shoulders quivered like it was laughing quietly to itself. Then it turned its head.
Toward me.
The laugh returned, softer now, close, like someone whispering through my own grin. "Finally," it said. "You're starting to see." The shadow stretched across the wall and reached for the covered mirror. The sheet began to slide off on its own, falling in a slow, graceful wave. And underneath it, my reflection was waiting, already smiling, already laughing. Before I even looked up, the sheet hit the floor without a sound. For a moment, I thought I was staring into an ordinary mirror again, my tired face, my pale eyes, the room behind me. Then my reflection blinked twice. I didn't. The glass rippled, the surface bending like water stirred by breath. I stepped back, heart punching against my ribs. The air grew heavy, wet with cold, and the faint scent of iron filled the room. My reflection tilted its head, lips parting just enough to whisper, "Almost ready." I didn't respond.
Couldn't.
But my reflection kept moving, raising its hands, pressing its palms against the inside of the glass. A spiderweb of cracks bloomed from its fingertips. "Stop it," I said, my voice small, cracking. "Stop." It smiled, and the cracks deepened. Each fracture shimmered with faint light, like the glass wasn't breaking outward but inward, into someplace I couldn't see. Then whump. A deep, dull sound, like a heartbeat through the wall. The mirror pulsed.
Once. Twice.
And something began pressing forward. A shape. A shoulder. The faint outline of a face that wasn't quite mine anymore. The room dimmed. The reflection's lips moved. "Let me remember for you." And the first sliver of its body slid through the glass. The sound it made when it crossed the glass wasn't what I expected. No crash, no shatter, just a soft tearing, like silk ripping underwater. It came through one limb at a time. A hand first, wet, colorless, trembling with hunger for air. Then an arm, shoulders, a head bent at an unnatural angle, as though the mirror were reluctant to let it go. When its foot touched my floor, the temperature dropped again. My breath clouded. And then it straightened. Every inch of it was me, but not. The features were too smooth, like someone sculpted my face from memory, but forgot the details that made it alive. Its eyes, though, those were full. Too full. Deep, black, and moving, as if something swirled just behind the surface. "Don't," I whispered. "Don't come closer." It tilted its head, mimicking the quiver in my voice perfectly. Then it stepped forward. The air buzzed, a low hum crawling along the floorboards, rattling picture frames. I stumbled backward until I hit the wall. It smiled. My smile. Then it raised one hand, fingers trembling, and pressed its palm flat against my chest. The moment it touched me, a blinding chill shot through my ribs, straight into my heart. And in my head, I heard it whisper, clear as thought, "You left me there too long." The moment its hand pressed against my chest, the world tilted. Every sound folded in on itself, like the air was sucking backward into the mirror. My reflection skin flickered between light and shadow, and for one disorienting heartbeat, I felt my pulse inside its fingers. It leaned close, forehead almost touching mine. Its breath smelled faintly like damp stone and old dust. "Don't fight," it whispered. "You've been fading for a long time." I tried to shove it away, but my hands met something soft, cold, and too deep, as if I were pushing into thick fog instead of flesh. Its grin widened as my palms sank into its chest. And then I felt it something pulling. A slow, relentless drag, like invisible hooks behind my eyes, tugging. My memories flickered. My bedroom, my mother's face, the smell of coffee, laughter, all sliding out of me, spilling toward it. "No," I gasped. "Stop." The reflection's voice echoed inside my head now, overlapping with mine, whispering with something close to affection. "You left me there every day, watching, alone. You owe me this." The mirror behind it glowed faintly, rippling like a black lake. And that's when I realized my shadow on the floor was no longer mine. It was standing perfectly still, watching, smiling. It took me a few seconds to understand what I was seeing. The thing on the floor, the silhouette stretching long and dark across the boards, wasn't following me anymore. When I moved, it didn't. When I turned my head, it stayed perfectly still. And then slowly, impossibly, it lifted its head. My shadow's face peeled away from the floor like smoke coming loose from firelight, and it grinned. A huge, unnatural grin that stretched too wide for a human mouth. Behind me, my reflection laughed. Not out loud, its body didn't move, but I felt it. Inside my bones, vibrating under my skin, like the sound was using my heartbeat as an instrument. The shadow crawled up the wall, its limbs bending wrong, like it had too many joints. Every time it moved, the air bent around it, and the room flickered. My walls became a reflection of another place, damp, cracked, endless glass stretching into darkness. My reflection stepped closer again. Its hand slid up my jaw, thumb pressing lightly against my throat. Almost done, it murmured. Just one more thing to take. And then my shadow lunged. It leapt from the wall like liquid, wrapping around my ankles, crawling up my legs, cold, wet, whispering against my skin. I screamed, clawed at it, but it clung tighter, pulling me down toward the rippling mirror on the wall. Through the distortion, I could see it. A world of mirrors.
Thousands of me.
All smiling. The moment my feet touched the mirror's surface, it yielded. Not like glass, more like skin stretched too thin over water. Cold, elastic, trembling beneath my weight. The reflection, my other self, kept one hand on my chest, the other gripping my wrist. Its smile was almost tender now, like a friend guiding me home. The shadow, still wound around my legs, dragged with steady patience. Inch by inch, I sank. My fingers clawed at the doorframe. Paint splintered under my nails. "Please," I whispered. "I don't belong there." The reflection tilted its head, eyes gleaming like obsidian. "You already do. You just forgot." My knees broke the surface. Cold swallowed me whole. I gasped, but no air came. Only a soft rush, like wind moving through deep water. Through the haze, I saw the room on the other side, identical but wrong. Everything dim, colors drained to gray. And in the corner of that world, dozens of figures stood waiting. All me, all still, all smiling. The pull grew stronger. My ribs hurt. The reflection's voice was right beside my ear now. "Breathe in." I did, and tasted glass dust and old memories. I was halfway through when I realized my reflection wasn't pulling me in, I was pulling it out. The moment I noticed, its eyes widened. And then everything shattered. The sound was everywhere, a single note that wasn't quite a crack or a scream, but both at once. Glass, bone, air, reality, all splitting. I hit the floor hard. Shards rained down around me, cutting the dark into 1,000 tiny reflections. In each one, I saw flashes of faces, mine, almost mine, not mine, melting back into the mirror mist that was already fading. The apartment was silent. No hum, no whispers. Just me, panting, half-soaked in that cold mirror water that was already seeping into the boards. I turned toward the wall. The mirror was gone. Only a jagged outline remained, an empty frame humming faintly, like it was remembering something it shouldn't. For the first time in days, I thought, it's over. Then I saw movement. In one of the shards lying beside my hand, a faint shimmer. I leaned closer. My own eye stared back, tired, human. And just behind it, a second one, darker, gleaming like a star seen through deep water. It blinked. The shard quivered, eager, alive. Before I could pull away, the reflection in the shard whispered a single word, so softly that I almost believed I imagined it.
"Switch."
And my reflection's hand, tiny, mirrored, perfect, pressed against the inside of the glass again. The shard trembled in my palm. It was no bigger than a coin, yet it pulsed like a living thing, each beat syncing with my own pulse until I couldn't tell which heart belonged to whom. "Switch," it whispered again, this time in rhythm with a thudding in my veins. I tried to drop it, but my hand wouldn't open. My fingers had gone rigid, white with strain. The glass began to sink into my skin, not cutting, but melting through it like heat through snow. Panic ripped through me. I grabbed at it with my other hand, but the moment my fingers touched the shard, both hands locked together. And in the reflection of the metal lamp beside me, I saw it happen. My face flickered. Once me, twice not me. The eyes in the reflection were wrong again. Bright, fevered, endless. The mouth smiled before I did. I staggered to the window, hoping to see the real world outside, cars, streetlights, anything. But the glass only showed me rows and rows of me, all grinning, all whispering the same word over and over.
Switch. Switch.
Switch. And as I watched, the surface of the window began to darken, turning liquid, rippling outward like something on the other side was leaning in. For a moment I thought, maybe if I close my eyes, it'll stop. So I did. And when I opened them again, the apartment was gone. I was standing on the other side of the glass. At first, I thought I'd gone blind. Everything was gray, colorless, breathless, still. Then the shapes started to appear. Walls, furniture, the faint outline of a door. My apartment, but drained.
Hollow.
I turned, expecting to see the shattered mirror frame behind me, but there was only smooth, seamless glass stretching into forever. A horizon of reflection. Every direction I looked, there were copies of me staring back. Some of them smiled. Some of them wept. One, directly across from me, had its hands pressed against the glass, begging soundlessly. I raised a trembling hand to the surface, and it mimicked me perfectly now. No lag. No independence. And then I saw it on the other side of the glass. My body, standing in my apartment, breathing, blinking, moving with perfect, natural rhythm. It looked around once, testing the air, then glanced toward the mirror frame, my last window home.
And smiled.
Not the jagged, wrong smile I'd seen before. My smile.
Calm. Ordinary.
It bent down, picked up the last piece of the mirror shard, and slid it neatly into a drawer. Then it turned off the light. Darkness swallowed me, except for the faint reflection of its face, staring in from the other side. It leaned close, whispering through the thinning veil. "Don't worry. I'll remember you." And then it walked away, leaving me inside, forever watching, forever waiting for someone else to look in.